What if the reason your glutes still look flat, even after all those squats, isn't your age, but your approach? If you're over 50 and feel like your glutes are slowly disappearing, losing shape, looking saggy, or just not as round and lifted as they used to be, you're not imagining it. Perhaps you've been consistently doing squats, trying to fix it, but nothing really changes, and those hip dips, that uneven shape, it can feel truly frustrating when your body doesn't respond the way it once did. But here's the good news. It's absolutely not too late to rebuild, reshape, and lift your glutes. You just need the right method. You might notice your jeans don't fit the way they used to. What once felt snug and flattering now feels loose in the back, or just doesn't sit right anymore. From the side, your glutes may look flatter, almost as if their natural curve is fading. And from the back, the shape might feel less defined, perhaps even uneven. One side may appear slightly smaller or softer, and you can't quite pinpoint why. Then there are the hip dips, those hollow areas that make your hips look less smooth, less full. It's frustrating because you are trying. You've been doing squats, convinced that's the answer. But no matter how consistent you are, your glutes just don't seem to respond as you hoped. Over time, it can start to feel like your body is changing in ways you can't control, as if that round, lifted shape just isn't coming back. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not that your body can't change, it's that your glutes aren't being trained the right way. If you're dealing with flat glutes, an uneven shape, or hip dips like this, you know the frustration. And if you're not just watching but truly ready to commit to changing your glutes the right way, then this message is for you. Now, let's discuss something most people don't expect to hear. Squats are not the best exercise for shaping your glutes, especially after 50. And no, it's not because squats are inherently bad. It's because they're often misunderstood. When you perform a squat, a significant portion of the work often goes to your thighs, particularly the front of your legs. So, even if you're consistent, even if you're doing everything you believe is right, your glutes may not be getting enough activation to truly change shape. After 50, this becomes even more critical. Your muscles don't respond in precisely the same way they used to. Over time, your glutes can become less active, meaning they won't fully engage unless you train them very intentionally. So what happens? You keep doing squats, but your thighs get stronger while your glutes remain flat. That's why it can feel like you're putting in the effort, but not seeing the results where you want them most. The problem isn't your body, it's that your glutes require a different kind of movement. So, what kind of movement do your glutes truly need? The key lies in understanding something called the hip hinge. Unlike squats, where you bend your knees and move vertically, a hip hinge focuses on pushing your hips back while keeping your spine stable. This simple shift changes everything, because your glutes are primarily responsible for extending your hips, not just helping you stand up from a squat. When you train with controlled hip movements, you place direct tension on the glutes, which is exactly what they need to grow, lift, and become more defined. And here's the crucial part. It's not about moving fast or lifting heavy weights. It's about slowing down, controlling the movement, and truly feeling your glutes working. Once you understand this, you stop guessing and start training your glutes in a way that genuinely reshapes them. And that's exactly what these next exercises are designed to do. Exercise number 1, the Romanian deadlift for a full glute lift. If your glutes feel flat, soft, or like they've lost their natural lift, this is where you start. The Romanian deadlift, using just one light kettlebell, is one of the most effective ways to bring your glutes back to life. Not by forcing them, but by finally activating them the way they're meant to work. Here's how to perform it simply and safely. Hold one kettlebell with both hands in front of your hips. Keep your chest tall and your back neutral. Then, slowly push your hips back as if you're trying to close a door behind you. Observe this. Your knees remain slightly bent, but they aren't performing most of the work. The movement originates from your hips. As you lower the kettlebell down along your thighs, you should feel a stretch in the back of your legs and deep in your glutes. Then, gently squeeze your glutes to come back up. That squeeze at the top. That's where the magic happens. This movement directly targets your entire glute area, helping to lift, firm, and reshape it over time. And the best part is, you don't need heavy weight. When done slowly and with control, even a light kettlebell can create real, visible change in how your glutes look and feel. Exercise number 2, the single leg deadlift to fix uneven glutes. If one side of your glutes looks smaller, softer, or just not as lifted as the other, this exercise can make a real difference. Most people don't realize it, but glute imbalance is very common, especially as we age. You might naturally rely more on one side of your body, and over time, that creates an uneven shape. The single leg deadlift helps correct that by training each side individually. Here's how to do it. Hold one light kettlebell in your right hand. Stand tall on your left leg, keeping a soft bend in your knee. Then, slowly hinge forward by pushing your hips back, while your right leg extends slightly behind you for balance. Keep your movements slow and controlled. The kettlebell should move down in a straight line close to your leg. You'll feel your standing leg, especially the glute, working hard to stabilize and control the movement. Then, gently return to standing by squeezing that glute. Repeat on the other side. This exercise does more than just strengthen your glutes. It helps reshape them, creating a more balanced, even look from both sides. And over time, that balance is what gives your glutes a more natural, rounded appearance. Go slow, stay steady, because control, not speed, is what creates real change here. Exercise number 3, the standard deadlift for an upper glute lift. If your glutes feel like they've lost their lift and look more flat than round, this is the piece most people are missing. The upper part of your glutes is what creates that lifted, youthful shape, and without training it directly, your glutes can look flat no matter how many exercises you do. This variation of the deadlift, using one light kettlebell, helps bring that upper area back into action. Here's how to do it. Place the kettlebell on the floor in front of you. Hinge your hips back and bend your knees slightly as you reach down to grab the kettlebell with both hands. Keep your chest lifted and your back neutral. Then, press through your feet and slowly stand up, bringing your hips forward. At the top, gently squeeze your glutes, especially focusing on that upper area. Pause for a moment, then lower the kettlebell back down with control. This controlled lift and squeeze is precisely what helps build that rounded, lifted shape over time. And remember, it's not about how fast you move or how heavy the weight is. It's about feeling that connection, especially at the top of the movement, because that's where your glutes truly start to change. Exercise number 4, the sumo deadlift to fill hip dips and target outer glutes. If you've ever looked in the mirror and noticed those slight hollows on the sides of your hips, you're not alone. Hip dips are completely natural, but when the surrounding muscles are weak, they can look more pronounced. This is where the sumo deadlift can really help. By changing your stance, you shift more of the work into the outer glutes and inner thighs, the areas that help create a fuller, smoother shape. Here's how to do it. Stand with your feet wider than shoulder width apart. Turn your toes slightly outward. Place one light kettlebell on the floor between your legs. Then, hinge your hips back and bend your knees as you reach down to grab the kettlebell with both hands. Keep your chest open and your back neutral. As you stand up, push through your heels and gently bring your hips forward. At the top, squeeze your glutes, especially focusing on the outer areas. Then, slowly lower the kettlebell back down with control. This wider stance allows you to target muscles that are often undertrained, helping to fill in the sides and create a more balanced, rounded look. Now, it's important to understand that you can't completely erase hip dips. They're a natural part of your bone structure. But by strengthening the muscles around them, you can absolutely make your shape look fuller, smoother, and more defined over time. Before you start, a quick reminder. Your goal here is not to lift heavy, it's to move correctly. Always begin with a light kettlebell, or even no weight at all, until you feel comfortable with the movement. Go slow, stay in control, and focus on feeling your glutes doing the work, not your lower back or your knees. If something feels sharp or uncomfortable, stop and adjust your form. And don't rush the process. Your body will respond much better to consistent, controlled movement than pushing too hard too soon. Done properly, these exercises are not only effective but also safe and sustainable over time. So, where does that leave squats? The truth is, squats aren't bad. They can still be a useful exercise for overall leg strength. But when it comes to shaping your glutes, especially creating that lifted, rounded look, they're simply not enough on their own. Squats mainly focus on bending your knees, while the exercises you just learned focus on moving your hips, which is how your glutes are truly activated. That's the difference. It's not about doing more exercises, it's about choosing the right ones for the result you actually want. Because in the end, strong glutes aren't just built, they're shaped with intention. At the end of the day, this isn't just about your glutes. It's about how you feel when you look at yourself, how your clothes fit, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your body is still strong, capable, and changing in the right direction. Because after 50, it's easy to feel like certain things are just part of aging, like losing shape, losing firmness, or losing control over how your body looks. But that doesn't have to be your story. With the right movements, done consistently and with intention, your body can respond in ways that might surprise you. You can rebuild that lift. You can create a more balanced, rounded shape, and most importantly, you can feel good in your body again, not because you're trying to be younger, but because you're taking care of yourself in a smarter way. Now it's your turn. You don't need complicated routines or hours in the gym. Just start with these 4 exercises. Stay consistent, and focus on how your glutes actually feel during each movement. Keep that commitment to yourself, because real change doesn't come from watching, it comes from doing. And if this video helped you see your body differently, share it with someone who might need that same reminder. You're not starting over, you're starting smarter. This video is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Please consult with a qualified healthcare professional before starting any new exercise program, especially if you have existing medical conditions, injuries, or concerns. Always listen to your body and modify exercises as needed to ensure safety and comfort.